Hello and welcome to another Midlands Championship Wrestling episode, and we are back for our first version of our new show, which is going to be MCW Midlands Mayhem, which you can see we've had a logo made here which looks absolutely fantastic, if I do say so myself, although it wasn't made by me, it was made by AI. I know it's a controversial topic, but I couldn't come up with something that good, and I just had to edit a couple little things to finish it off, so that's where we went. However, we are going to be heading into that in just a moment. We've not made any new signings for the company. However, we do have some big news in regards to El Ligero. He is injured, and he is very injured. He has sustained a badly herniated spinal disc and is going to be out for over a year. If we have a look at his match history, came in a match against Colin McKay for PBW, and unfortunately, because he's going to be out for a year, we've not really left any other option apart from we're going to have to release him, because there's no point in us having him on the books if he's not available to wrestle. And with that done, let's jump into our first Midlands Mayhem. And to open the first ever Midlands Mayhem, we have Ricky Knight announcing the MCW and MCW Women's Championships and round robin tournaments to decide the first ever holders, which we will show you the brackets for them. So the way we've had to do it is separating into bracket A and bracket B. In bracket A for the Women's Championship, we have Becky James, Stacey Baby and Saraya Knight. And in bracket B, we have Brittany Knight, Erin Angel and Jenny Shodin. We only have those 6 women on our books at the moment, so that is the limit for that. However, for the men, again, we are having everyone we have signed involved. And in bracket A, we have Chris Brooks, Lionheart, Pac, Ricky Knight, Roy Knight, Trent Seven and Zach Knight. So all 3 members of the Knight family on the male side of the roster in the same bracket. And then in bracket B, we have Clint Majera, Dave Mastiff, Martin Kirby, Martis Girl, Pete Dunne, Zach Gibson and Zach Sabre Jr. So the way this will work is the winner of each of these brackets will face off against the other winner. So the winner of bracket B will face the winner of bracket A for the title. The reason I've done this is it gives us a nice run of shows where we've got matches already set in place and we can test out everyone on the roster as we do so. And also, while we're here, let's show you the titles. Here is the MCW Championship. So it's got the MCW logo across the middle and the United Kingdom flag behind it. As for the MCW Women's Championship, it's a bit more gold, a white strap, no UK flag on this one, although I may edit it shortly and I'll update you if we do. But now we've got our first match in the round robin tournaments, starting with Zach Knight taking on Chris Brooks. And Zach Knight loses his match with a win for Chris Brooks in 9 minutes 43 thanks to a fast roll-up. These tournament matches will all have a 20-minute time limit, with a draw being for 1 point and a win being for 2 points. And early on, Chris Brooks takes the lead in bracket A. And then in bracket B, which kicks off next, Pete Dunne defeats Zach Gibson by pinfall with a 34 rating. Not too bad there. Zach Gibson making his debut actually gets an awful rating for his gimmick, which isn't great. We'll have to have a look at changing that then. But Pete Dunne picking up 2 points. Next up, we have Zach Knight saying he shouldn't even have to be in the tournament. He should just be in the final by default. The reason that we're doing that is Zach Knight is going to be a entitled prick gimmick. So basically, because his dad owns the company, he thinks I should just walk in and be given all the opportunities. And that's going to play out throughout the tournament. I believe we now go to the women's side of the bracket. I believe it's Saraya and Stacey. And it is indeed, as we get a 30 rating out of them. Saraya picking up the win in 7 minutes 27. Stacey only with a rating of 7. Not a great rating for her. However, she is very young and she's very raw. So we've got time to build her with the company, and hopefully she can become a much better wrestler as we go. Next up, we have Zack Sabre Jr. making his MCW debut, and he's going to be taking on Roy Knight in our main event. And they pull out a 44 rating. Roy Knight has come in and got a gimmick that is great. Zack Sabre Jr. has adequate. Zack with a 43 rating in the ring, Roy with a 41. So a pretty good match out of both of them there. Roy is going down the opposite route to Zack, where although he's part of the Knight family, he's more than happy to earn his place. And he does pick up a loss in his first ever match. However, a strong showing from him as he picks up a 44 rating overall, and hopefully for him, he can turn that around in his next match. And that gives us a 38 overall rating. So we'll do a little speech and congratulate Chris and Pete and Saraya. In fact, we'll swap Pete out for Zack Sabre Jr. because Pete done got praise in the first one. They all are pleased with that. And what we will do now is we're going to go ahead and get back to MCW Live for the second show of the episode, where the round robin tournaments will continue. Just before we jump into our second show of the episode, we have joined an alliance, which is the Union of European Wrestling Alliances. The other members are All Star Wrestling, New Wrestling Evolution, and Premier British Wrestling. I believe New Wrestling Evolution are based out in the Southern Mediterranean, and they are a tiny company. All Star Wrestling are a tiny company, and Premier British Wrestling are a insignificant company. However, we do share money with these other members, and we can also propose talent trades. So this could benefit us if these companies are making money. Let's have a little look at their finances. So they gained like 15,000 in January. NWE made a few thousand, and Premier British Wrestling actually made a loss. However, if what All Star Wrestling made there can come partly to us, that will give us a massive boost, because we made 2,000 our first month. So we'll review that after a month in the alliance to see what we end up with. But let's go and jump into MCW Live and book our next show. So we are once again out of the Featherstone and Hilton, and we are now a popularity of 11 and expecting 79 fans. Let's jump into the show. And in our opening bout, which had superb wrestling, Marty Scurll picks up the win against Martin Kirby with a graduation. Marty Scurll gets an initial rating of poor, so we'll have to review that. Unfortunately, our gimmicks are not going over great at the moment, but he does pick up a win to pick up 2 points in bracket B. And next up, we go into a little promo, I believe, with Chris Brooks saying that he hopes to continue his momentum in bracket A after picking up a win in the opening match of the entire tournament, only getting a 16 rating though, unfortunately. And next up, I believe we go into Ricky Knight, the company owner, making his debut in an attempt to go on to win the title in his own company. And it gets off to a bad start. It was subpar wrestling despite having a decent reaction from the crowd, as Trent Seven beats Ricky Knight by submission, and Trent Seven picking up his 2 points. Ricky is 56 now, I believe, and he is definitely going over the edge in terms of his time as a performer. What I'm potentially thinking of doing, a little insight for you, is potentially Ricky may not win a single match in this tournament and then choose to retire as a result of that. Not locked in. If he can pull out a performance or two, then maybe, but starting off with a 12 doesn't make that very likely. We then go into the women's match for the night with Erin Angel beating Jenny Shodin with a reverse crossbody. 30 rated match, and Erin Angel with a 30 rating herself, Jenny with a 29. So both of them doing pretty decent jobs, as Erin takes the early lead in bracket B for the Women's Championship. This is how we're going to structure the next few shows, with 3 men's matches, 1 women's match, so that way the round robin tournaments will last more similar length, whereas if we did 2 women's and 2 men's, the women's would be over almost instantly. And next we have, I believe, a promo from Clint Majera, who announces that any time he competes in an MCW match, it must be under hardcore rules. That's because he is an extremist and he is very much a hardcore worker. He likes to do death matches and things like that. Not sure we're going to do death matches, but that's going to be one of our first gimmicks, alongside Zach being the entitled prick. Clint Majera is going to be demanding hardcore matches, and he starts that off with Dave Mastiff, and that gets a 44 rating. However, Dave Mastiff picks up the win with a cannonball in 9 minutes 39 to get his 2 points on the board, and a good start for the man who main evented our first ever show. A 53 rating from Dave, a 21 rating for Clint Majera, and then just after the match, Mastiff says he's going to go all the way to the title. No one will stop him, especially not Lionheart, who obviously picked up the win in the main event of the first show. So overall, we get a 40 rating. It didn't result in any popularity changes for some reason. I think it's something to do with you can only gain so much popularity each month. I did have to run Zack Sabre Jr. versus Roy Knight in a pre-show just because I changed the brackets around and that kind of messed it up, but that's all resolved now. We'll also tell Erin Angel that she put out a good performance, and Dave Mastiff as well can be praised for a great performance for how he did, and all 3 of them seem pleased. And just before we wrap up the episode, we will show you a very early look at the round robin brackets. So Saraya Knight leading the way in bracket A, and Erin Angel leading the way in bracket B. And then in the men's, we've got Chris Brooks, Zack Sabre Jr. and Trent Seven all on 2 points. And in bracket B, we have Dave Mastiff, Barty Skull and Pete Dunne all on 2 points. If you have enjoyed that, please do leave a like down below. Comment who do you think is going to reach the finals and who do you think will be our first ever champions. Subscribe if you're enjoying the series, and thank you very much for watching.